That's right. This is another episode of Point of View. I'm Pastor Josh Barnes, and this is Brother Jonathan Barnes. And this is the show where we're unashamed to look at political issues from a biblical point of view, or social issues, or whatever happens, theology issues, whatever happens to be on your mind. And it really is your mind. If you ask for us for a topic, we'll cover it. Actually, our official program observer is Juan. He is also our official minority program observer, who helps us know if whether or not we're in touch with minorities. Juan is our producer. He's also the creator of Right America Media. It's all volunteer stuff. There's no, but anyway, so he'll send me things, and actually a little bit later on this week we've got one requested by him. If you have an episode you'd like us to do, let us know. We'll be happy to cover it. Most likely, as long as it's not really stupid. I mean, come on, we do have the right to veto. Anyway, but we start at whatever the issue is. We start with the Bible. We do that because Jesus died on the cross, rose from the dead, and so the Bible is true. And if the Bible is true, then if we want to be right about issues, we can't be in disagreement with the Bible about those issues. Yesterday we talked about the Roe versus Wade maybe being overturned. Actually, by now, when this airs, maybe it already has been overturned. And but it brought up a good question when we talked about that yesterday, or actually it was today because we record these all together. But you saw it yesterday. It brought up a good question, and that is the question of feminism. Now, here's two white guys about to talk about feminism. Jonathan, do you think we're going to get in trouble for this?
I think absolutely, most definitely, that's going to happen.
Nah. Here's the last time we did this.
We're going to royally step in it right now. So, get ready.
So we did probably a year and a half ago, Justin and I did a 4-part series on abortion. And we talked about, we went through every objection that people would have, every reason that people try to use that we could come up with, whether it was, oh, you're not standing up for individual rights. It's her right, or whatever. We went through all of those, but that isn't on the Point of View YouTube channel, because at the time the Point of View YouTube channel didn't exist. Those went on the Bible Explained YouTube channel, which is my original YouTube channel. But anyway, on that recently, just a month ago, we got this comment from a well-meaning, I think. I think she's actually, she claims to not be pro-abortion, but Stephanie says, honestly, for this topic, you need to have a female voice present. So we can't talk about this, Jonathan. This is the point, we're not qualified to talk about this because we're men. That's sexist. I just want everyone to know that. That is the definition of sexism. Anyway, so I responded and said, why? She said, well, because a man cannot understand what it means to be raped and then become pregnant. I'm with you on this. I just think it's like a woman, a woman telling a guy that some kind of issue involving his genitalia is not relevant. There are just simply topics that need to be referred to by someone who could be in that situation. It's not just here. There's other things as well. I mean, how ridiculous would it be for a 21-year-old to advise elderly people on particular issues that need a common ground of understanding for the recipient to be able to take the advice? Unless, of course, you're just attempting to preach to the choir, then it doesn't matter. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, Jonathan, but that was super specific, right? I mean, she was just very specific about the other examples that could possibly exist.
She got us. I guess we can go home.
I couldn't actually think of an actual example that fits her qualifications here, but maybe there is one. So my response was, Stephanie, first of all, men can be sexually abused and molested too. This is not something that is experienced by women. You presuppose that I have not experienced this injustice. Additionally, your argument suggests that not only that I must be a woman, but also that I must be a woman who has experienced rape if I'm to speak to the morality of abortion in response to rape. The problem is that abortion is either factually murder or it isn't. I don't need to experience rape to know that the murder of an innocent child is the wrong way to respond to sexual abuse. Neither do you. Whether or not people receive the truth that we speak is not up to us to determine. We will continue to speak the truth. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you start talking about facts. I mean, the whole you have to be in it or part of it or experience it to have a say on something is really a bad argument. Just because you throw out anybody can compile facts and build an argument based on those. You don't have to be part of this. I'm sure people on the left would be completely okay with it if you built an anti-gun argument without actually having a gun. That's okay. But in the but again, we have the hypocritical stuff where it's, like, you can't have an opinion on this, you can't speak to it, you can't even bring the facts forward and show where there's fallacies in the alternative viewpoint. It shows a weak argument in my estimation.
Truth is truth. It doesn't really matter who it comes from. It depends on whether it's what it's based on, right? Is it based on facts? Is it actual truth? But so she responded and clarified. She says, well, I just have to disagree. I didn't say that. First, she says, I didn't say that I explicitly said and get pregnant from it. Oh, which men can't do. They can be molested. They just can't get pregnant. And she said, we'll just have to disagree on this. It wasn't criticism from me. It was more of a suggestion to reach more people. I mean, isn't that what you also want? I mean, did your second response prove my point in a very unique way? As a woman suggested, you invite. I suggest you. I'm helping correct her grammar. As a woman, I suggest you invite a woman on to speak about pregnancy following rape, and because I spoke as a woman, you perceived it as me saying boys and men can't get raped. That's exactly what I mean. The way you felt misunderstood is the way many women might feel, and exactly the woman you want to reach. She also went on to say, and I wasn't saying that you have to have been raped to speak on it. My intention is that you would reach more women with your important message about not aborting, not even after rape, because it's one of the touchiest subjects. And she goes on and on. So basically she's saying that you can't effectively talk to this subject without having a woman on. The problem is, I'm not a woman. So maybe it would be more effective to have a woman do it. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to shut up and not say what needs to be said here. I mean, truth is truth and it needs to be proclaimed. And if women will get out there and do it, great. I will help you. If you have an intelligent argument, you can come on this show, or if you want to do one show every week, I'll get you on Right America Media, and we'll just make a whole show out of anti-abortion from the voice of a woman. I will be happy to do that. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop saying it. I think women should be saying it too. But murder is murder, and murder is wrong. And what we're going to talk about today is also wrong. Wrong in a very obvious way. In more ways than one, actually. But this is feminism gone amok, right? Okay, people talk about toxic masculinity, right? Where masculinity goes too far. Now, I think nowadays that term toxic masculinity is used to talk about any masculinity. Any masculinity is toxic, which is ridiculous. But there is, I suppose, masculinity taken too far. There is, I suppose, the idea that men are somehow more valuable than women is a negative thing, right? But the reverse is also true. If there is a toxic masculinity, there is a toxic femininity. And if toxic femininity exists, I can't get this out of my mouth. If toxic femininity, is that a word? Exists.
I believe so. Masculinity is. It has to be, right?
If that thing exists, this is it.
A few months ago, Modern Warrior made a video talking about how he was going to try and fight systemic racism by not getting out of the way of white people on the sidewalk. Good for him. Love that idea. The same thing applies to women. So how are you fighting the patriarchy? How are you fighting the misogynistic society that we live in? And how are you practicing intersectional feminism? taking Lance's idea, I decided to try that because I have always noticed that I will get out of the way of men as they're walking towards me on the sidewalk to let them go around. So I was in Seattle last weekend. I made an effort not to do that, and I was doing really great. But at one point, I was holding my daughter's hand. She's 3 years old, and these two white men, boys, they were like in their 20s, were coming towards us, and it was quite clear that they were just gonna run right into us until my daughter and I literally had to get in the road to get out of their way.
So I'm wondering if she, with this ideology and mindset, meets Lance, what happens? Because someone's got to move, right?
Who takes precedent, a white woman or a black man?
Oh,
I'll tell you the answer.
didn't
It's
address
a black woman. It's a black woman. That's the...
you have to have a card, maybe.
Here's the
Okay,
problem.
This.
When nobody is going to move, then we don't go anywhere, right? I mean, this is... Jonathan, I've got a question for you. I've got a question. Have you ever moved aside for someone as you're walking in a hallway?
Clearly not, because I'm a white male.
Of course not. We are white men. We
what
would
we do.
never do
That
that.
is what we do.
That's
I've actually
ridiculous.
been
Have you ever
involved
held
in-
a door for a woman?
Right. Well, that would be toxic masculinity, I believe, right?
You see, you can't win with this, right?
we can't do that.
You don't move out of her way. You're toxically masculine, but you open the door for her. You've gone too far. Now you're toxically masculine. Like what?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. There's no winning. There's just not. You can't. You're stuck.
No, but think about this. Imagine being this woman. Now she is. By the way, if anyone wants to find this video, we got it from Libs of TikTok, which is a great resource if you're looking for crazies. And the original TikTok video came from this lady. I guess this is her TikTok name, at Brunette Ka Jess. BrunetKaJess, at Brunette Ka Jess. And so credit to where credit is due, or if you want to call it credit. But Jess, I'm going to call you Jess. All right. And I'm going to assume that you are smart enough to watch Point of View, although that may be a false assumption to make. But Jess, if you're watching this show, let me ask you a question. What must it be like to be you? I mean, to actually walk down the hallway in an airport and think you're fighting for feminism by refusing to move. I mean, I was walking down a hallway in a Walmart recently, very recently, actually. I don't go to Walmart very often, so this is kind of a special moment for me, being in Walmart. I leave that for my wife. A bad episode to say that.
That's toxic masculinity.
But I was in Walmart. I actually picked up flowers for my wife, which again, toxic masculinity, I know. And a bunch of teenage girls were like 3 wide coming down the aisle. And here's the deal. They didn't move. There's 3 of them, 3 wide, coming at me. One could like jump behind the other and give me a place to go. I didn't really care. I would move, but there was no place to go. And so guess who ended up darting into the women's lingerie section there to get out of the aisle so the ladies could continue their 3 wide fashion down the aisle? Yes, that was me. That was me. So I am now a feminist, right? I mean, I'm good now. I can go on with the rest of this episode and nobody can say anything because I move for women.
Yes, you can now speak to it because you've been there and you've experienced it. Good job. So here's the thing. I'm usually the guy. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this at all. I'm the guy who gets into these weird and incredibly awkward dance-offs with people.
Yes.
Because you're trying to get out of the way as they're trying to get out of the way. And of course, you're always going to move the same way out of the way. And you're like, and you just can't. And eventually, you just have to kind of and eventually it goes away. I don't know where my toxic masculinity goes on those occasions, but it's just not there. It's bad. But I mean, to me, it looks like, people are people. You're going to always be able to find an instance of somebody who's a jerk and won't get out of the way no matter what they do. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, male, female. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I've run into plenty of people who've gotten out of the way no matter what they were, and plenty of people who don't, and you just move out of the way no matter what they are. It's just people.
That was my next question is there really, I'm just thinking in my own head, right? How many, the times that people just wouldn't move and I had to move, and I typically move. I don't typically, I would just, it's just easier to not do the dance. I'm going to move early so that they can, so we don't end up dancing. But the amount of times that I've really, I needed to be somewhere, I was going this way and they wouldn't move out of my, or whatever, it's a 50-50. It's men, it's women, it's white people, it's black people, it's Spanish people. It's, as long as it's the one that annoys me is the person on the cart, the little driving cart in Walmart. That drives me crazy because they can't get out of my way. Like they try to back up and they're even more in my way and they get themselves stuck. Anyway, that's a separate thing. We're going to have to edit that out. But the point is, you don't have one over the other. But here's what feminism does. Toxic feminism has turned this woman into someone who's just a normal human being who moves aside for other human beings out of just general respect for the human race, because that should just be a part of all of us, into this person who thinks that it is wrong and that she is fighting against her own cause by just stepping aside and being kind to other people. And when kindness becomes contrary to your cause, I say your cause is unkind and wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and what is going on in the mind here where she thinks that every white man who's doesn't get out of the way is doing it for the sole purpose of, I don't know, masculinity, toxic masculinity. So every time, like, there might be some times where you're on the phone, you're not paying attention, and you just don't get out of the way because.
Yeah, but see, that's the point, Jonathan. See, it's subconscious. It's like critical race theory. You don't even know that it's there, but you hate women. You do. You hate women. Just ask your wife; she'll tell you.
Yes, I mean, you were talking about having somebody on here who's a woman that can speak to these things. Well, both of us have wives, and both of us are in agreement on abortion. They would have no problem talking to it. But we can speak the same facts as well. But I just feel like you're reading a lot into the mindset of a person. You're assigning what they're feeling and what they're doing and the reasons behind it without even knowing the person. They're just walking on the street. It's some people are brought up differently. It's a lot to take in, honestly.
It's incredibly rude. It's incredibly rude. Yeah. And on that note, I'm gonna be what some people are going to call rude here in just a moment. But I would rather say that it's blunt. Okay? It's not so much rude as it is blunt, and sometimes the truth hurts. Okay? This is another video I grabbed off of Libs of TikTok, which just it's a gold mine over there. Here is a lovely girl who lost that. So in case you're wondering what you just saw and what I just inflected upon you, That is what we call cruel and unusual punishment, and sometimes you get that here on Point of View. You sometimes get entertained, and sometimes you're punished. Today was punishment. This is from Moon Monty on TikTok, and sorry, my lighting here adjusted when I
Usually you do this to Justin, and you've decided to do it to me now. I appreciate that.
So apparently, Jonathan, she's transitioned into an actual beast. Like she's no longer a human or something.
What does she
has
identify
actual
as?
spikes coming out of her head.
Does she identify as like even a human being at this point, or I'm not even joking about that?
I'm not
is she trying
sure.
to be something else?
But she transitioned, I guess, into, non-gender to gender fluid, right? And she went from being a very beautiful girl to a very ugly, still a girl. And
Yeah.
she needs to know this. This is what radical, toxic feminism does. It destroys women. It doesn't help them. In the same way, toxic masculinity, actual legitimate toxic masculinity, also destroys men, right? This is equal ground here. But when we go so far into ourselves that we're so consumed with ourselves and our own value, rather than the value of others, we destroy ourselves. This person thought that her feeling to be a non-binary individual changed the facts about who she was. And so she changed and marred her own features in order to mimic her feelings, because her feelings are God, right? Her feelings get to say what's reality. And she destroyed herself. And this is incredibly sad and destructive. This is what happens when we don't say no to our children, when we don't give boundaries, when we don't say certain things are right and certain things are wrong. These type of things are the result, and it destroys people.
Yeah. And I don't want to assign any sort of. I don't know what happened in her life, right, to make this happen, because clearly she was keeping up with herself. She was doing pretty well, and then she went the other way. And I don't know if that started first, and then she just decided, well, everybody's just going to have to accept me. And you have the right to do whatever you want, honestly, if you're an American. But where I see the problem is when she starts demanding acceptance by everyone at the end, like, take my name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
She did this to herself. She made herself what is generally accepted to be a very unattractive human being, after she was what would be generally accepted as an attractive human being. And now she's demanding society still consider her attractive. I don't know what her point is here, but it's also unhealthy behavior. You've got someone who is now much more susceptible to a lot of diseases because of the weight gain. I'm not sure what all of those things were in her face, but having all that kind of metal inside your body all over the place cannot be good for your skin. There's lots of ways for diseases and stuff to creep in when you've done that. So yeah, it's not only unhealthy, but it's demanding other people to just consider you attractive. You don't get to do that. You don't. You can do whatever you want to yourself, but you don't get to decide what other people think about you.
Yeah, you far surpassed the point that I made. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that she chose to take on an image that is not generally accepted to be beautiful. She chose that, and she's upset that generally people don't think she's beautiful anymore. I mean, this was the consequences of choosing an image that is not generally accepted as beautiful. You have every right to look that way. Now, I think there's also, my point was more about the whole concept of being non-binary, which is actually destructive to women, because how do you have feminism when there is no gender, right? But beside that, when you deal with just her image, Yeah, she chose something that people don't generally think is beautiful on purpose, and is mad that people don't generally think she's beautiful anymore.
Yeah.
Do we have time for one more? We have time. Let's just squeeze it in.
We need to talk about what's going on in the Supreme Court right now. If you are a pro-life, or what you really are is a pro-birther, get the off my page. Seriously, there's the door. Bye. I'm not going to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to have an open discussion.
Okay, that's all the time we have. It was going to be a 2-minute video. I didn't even want to finish it because that's enough for me. I've had it. I will. I will get off of your page. I never would have joined your page. I can't imagine that. Now, having a show like this, Point of View, we're trying to reach people. I would never tell someone to unsubscribe to Point of View, right? Now, I think that they will probably unsubscribe on their own if they feel so opposite of me. But I can't imagine the type of personality that says, if you don't agree with me, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't even want your support in the form of a subscription or anything like that. I wouldn't even. There's a whole 2 minutes left of this video, and already in just the introduction, this is what feminism does to women. Excuse me, toxic feminism.
Yeah, it's. I think again, we talked yesterday about about the signs of a weak argument, and it really is if you're not even going to have a conversation with someone. If you are going to start off by saying, "I'm not having a conversation with you, just go away. I don't want to talk about it." That's kind of what they accuse Christians of, right? Like, oh, you just want to believe the Bible. You just, you don't want to open up your mind to the real world and science and all this stuff. But then we have this, where we'll have a conversation with you. You have this show, and you have conversations about many different things, and you bring all these different viewpoints. You might not have actual guests, but stuff like this TikTok video, you bring these viewpoints in, and you talk about them. You bring the facts in, and you show where they're wrong most of the time. And but to be the antithesis of that, and just to say I'm not going to have any conversation, well, then I guess you've chosen where you're going to be, and what's the point in even bringing it up? Just to pat yourself on the back, pat everybody else on the back. I guess that's where we're going.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know, and I really honestly don't want to know. But maybe for the next episode, Justin and I will pick through this video, and I'll torture him with the remainder of it. How about that?
Please do.
Jonathan, have you ever been out in the woods and said, I would really love a non-GMO, gluten-free trail mix right now?
I believe so. Probably every day that I'm out in the woods, which is all the time. Sure.
So, listen, that doesn't sound appetizing to me. Honestly, non-GMO, gluten-free trail mix doesn't sound appetizing to me. But that's because you hadn't heard of the White Mountain Munchies, which is an amazing trail mix and snack food. Go get yours today on whitemountainmunchies.com. It tastes amazing, and you get a discount when you use the promo code RAM. That's all the time we have for today. We'll see you next time.